I'm Florida, need I say more?
I really appreciated and enjoyed Adaptation. I thought that was a very good film. It was very cleverly done. And based, of course, on Susan Orlean's book, The Orchid Thief. Based very loosely on it, but very cleverly done. And I certainly enjoyed Sunshine State. I thought that was a brilliant film by John Sayles, dealing with both issues of generational differences, race, and segregation and integration issues over time, and also with development or growth in the state. I thought that was very well put together. But there's some older films I really liked too. I really liked Poppy, which was a film about a New York Puerto Rican who decides to try to take advantage of the opportunities being given to Cuban exiles by coming to Florida and bringing his 2 kids with him and putting them in a little boat off the coast of Miami and having them float in as if they had come all the way across the straits. And their parents had died on the trip. So the kids are adopted by the Cuban exile community, and everybody makes a big deal about them. They go to the White House, and there's going to be all sorts of opportunities available for them. Unfortunately, the kids don't speak Spanish very well, so the story falls apart.
And that's a movie from the 60s.
It's from the 60s.
It sounds like it's from the 80s or 90s, but it's from the 60s. My favorite, or certainly one of my favorites in addition to Sunshine State, is A Flash of Green, which is a Victor Nunez film. He himself is a Floridian and has done several films about Florida. And I think it's significant that Sayles, and Flash of Green is based on a John McNaught novel about development on the west coast of Florida, made in the 80s, set in the 50s. What's interesting is that 2 of our favorites are in fact made by independent filmmakers. They're not made by Hollywood studios or financed by Hollywood studios. And I think one of the things we discovered is certainly since the 60s, that some of the best movies about Florida, some of the most nuanced, complex, insightful films are made by independent filmmakers who are working on small budgets and willing to take risks with storylines. For example, with Victor Nunez, that are usually set in rural Florida rather than in Miami, and they've done several of those filmmakers have done a good job.
Which, by the way, is the major focus on films, Miami. That's the city in the state that receives most notice by filmmakers, both independent and major studio filmmakers, I have to say. And you can get to see, if you look at the films over time, if you look at them chronologically, you get to see over time how Miami changes in filmmakers' point of view.
Probably one of the most important themes through all of the films over time is that, well, for example, take Miami theme. Moon Over Miami, made during World War II, the title tells it all in terms of the image of Miami. And then Miami Vice, the film that just recently came out based on the TV series of the 80s. I mean, what happens to Miami, in particular, in Florida in general, is that it goes from paradise to a kind of hell on earth that is barely tolerable between the crime, to take the example of Miami Vice, to the environment with supposedly alligators and sharks presenting a real threat, as well as the sun. Susan pointed out in one of the pieces she wrote that the sun was long seen as a curative for people who were ill, and now it's seen as a source of skin cancer. And it is to be feared as much as loved, which is kind of symbolic of Florida.
I'm Spaniard, and I'm Frenchman, and I'm British, and I'm Indian, I'm forest, and I'm swamplands, opportunities for all men, proud as can be when I roll. I'm Florida, need I say more? I'm Florida, need I say more?